in the end, you're going to become filthy rich because of that.
What are the biggest mistakes that you feel like you've made in marketing?
Over the course of about 30 days, he had spent $40,000 and received almost no signups.
What kinds of digital strategies have been really successful for you?
And in the end, you're just going to be known as the company that has like fucked up branding and clickbait to sell products. Welcome to the Spinoso Podcast, where we talk about business and life lessons that have allowed me to scale one of my companies to 7 figures in 12 months and 8 figures in 16 months, as well as later become a consultant and a partner in a 9-figure corporation and multiple other businesses. I'm working towards becoming the best husband, father, mentor, and business partner. So welcome today, Miss Amanda May, as always. One day earlier than we were supposed to.
Yeah.
Just show up at my house a whole 24 hours before you're supposed to. At least you're on time.
At least I caught it before I left. I was like, let me see. Because I would have actually just shown up and you'd have been like,
that would have been interesting.
Okay.
You know, my wife, she goes, always tell me when Amanda's going to come over so that I can at least like look decent and put makeup on and stuff like that. Stefan, she gives zero fucks about. She's like, Stefan could see me just hideous, but no, if Amanda comes over, I got to look nice.
Oh, she should probably not care about that either.
That's what
The only reason I look nice when I come over here is because we're recording.
Yeah, exactly.
If we weren't recording, forget it. I'd be in my pajamas too. Awesome. So I'm excited. Today is going to be a topic that I love talking about, although I love talking in general.
Yeah, right. That's why you're on the podcast, because I don't.
Yeah. Marketing, mindset, methods, and mistakes along the way in building your business. And so really digging into talk more about how you've scaled, the marketing that you've done, where those things have paid off, mistakes that you've made that other people can learn from. And while you're predominantly in the medical space, these things go across the board, I'm guessing, from business to business, where people and our listeners are going to actually get a lot from it, even if they're not in the medical entrepreneurial world.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one mistake that people make, is that they always say, well, this doesn't pertain to my business. Just business concepts in general pertain to anybody's business. You just got to twist it to what you need it to do. 100%.
Yeah. And the mistakes are good to avoid no matter what business you're in.
Yeah, that's very true too.
All right. So I have 7 questions for you.
Okay.
So it's going to be kind of a Q&A podcast where it's a little different, but this will be fun because I get to ask you lots of really great questions about your experience.
I feel like I'm on the hot seat. I hope I actually have the answers to these.
You do. I know you do. I've heard you talk a lot over the years.
Nothing good. I've heard you just fucking spew shit for the last 4 years. Haven't said anything useful yet, but here I am on this stupid podcast.
Well, that's not true, because you say lots of useful things, which is why I'm on the podcast.
There you go.
So we could spin that either way. All right. What are the biggest mistakes that you feel like you've made in marketing that you would offer as like the warning to others and like for them to avoid at all costs?
I think there's really 2 major mistakes that I have made in marketing that people want to avoid. Number 1, I'll talk about both of them. I'll name both of them and then I'll go through each one. So number 1 was just trusting one marketer to do everything that you needed to do. That was a huge mistake. Then number 2 was spending too little amount of money. So going back to number 1, when we first opened Genesis, it was August of 2019. And it wasn't Genesis at that time. It was a company called CellSpark, and we did stem cells and stem cell treatments. That was pretty much all we did. And so we had a third partner at the time, a minority partner who was a marketer, and he marketed stem cells, stem cell treatments, and it was what he marketed wasn't straight to consumers to come into the clinic. They were straight for consumers to come to like a dinner talk. And then I would go run the dinner talk about our treatments, and then sign people up at the dinner to come into the clinic. At those events, or he was running those events for a while, and they were highly successful and everything like that. There was a lot of moving parts to those. So we decided to set them up, and we gave him, free reign, which was the unfortunate part, to do whatever he needed to market. And unfortunately, that meant for him, he could spend however much he wanted in order to get a certain number of people into these dinner talks. Well, unfortunately, over the course of about 30 days, he had spent $40,000 and received almost no signups for these dinners. So $40,000, and we were brand new, so we didn't have a lot of money, and he made the bank account go negative significantly. Pretty much bankrupted the business, 2 months into it, to where Brent and I had to like pull out of our savings and keep the business afloat and grow it again. And at that moment, we didn't have any other marketers. We didn't have any backup plan for marketing or anything like that. So this guy went, spent all this money, didn't actually perform at all, and that was his one job as business being our business partner. Was he was supposed to do decent marketing to where if it made sense and what he was going to say, it would have obviously made sense for him to have equity in the company. But his one job, he horribly failed at. So essentially, we gave him equity for nothing. And at that point, it was just over. We were just like, you know what? We don't need you in the company. You're not doing anything helpful to us. You're actually harming us and spending money willy nilly. And we turned around and thought, how could we do things better? Next time, we just won't have one marketer doing everything. So, and that was just when we were first starting out. Now, as soon as we've gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, we have really pushed all of our marketing towards a few different choice marketers that have proven themselves. But that was the biggest mistake we made with that, is that we chose one marketer who hadn't proven himself in our system, who hadn't shown that he could win over and over, that he could take a budget and actually do what he said he was going to do. So a few things when you're hiring marketers. Number one, make sure you have a budget, a strict budget that they're going to follow. Make sure you know all the management costs and everything that's involved with that. Then make sure that you have KPIs, key performance indicators showing how successful they are. Your numbers such as your CPC, cost per click, CPA, cost per acquisition, all those things should be taken into account when you are spending marketing dollars, because it might cost you $200 to get a patient in the door, but $400 to get that patient in the door and get that patient sold. So if you have a $200 product, you might think, oh, well, it's okay, we're breaking even. Well, no, you're actually negative $200 because you might get 10 people into the clinic, but your cost per acquisition is double because only 5 people buy.
Mm.
So you need to make sure that you have all those in line and don't make that mistake. The second thing is spending too little money, and especially in our world, in the medical world, but really in any world now, everything is a commodity. There's nothing new, whether you're selling hair care products or whether you're selling skincare cream or whether you're selling things like Botox. There's a million other companies out there selling a million different products that are exactly the same. I mean, toothpaste. There's 700 types of toothpaste. So, how do you market each of those? Well, the biggest thing is going to be making sure that you're spending enough money to actually compete with the big boys out there. And you're having a marketing company that's looking at the keywords, what you could possibly rank for, what you could possibly win. And the data from Google shows that the if you have to really rank top 3 in order to get any type of clicks on your marketing. So if you're not 1, 2, or 3 popping up in your natural SEO, then you're not going to get anybody clicking on your website or clicking on your product. So you really have to do a lot of work when it comes to finding different marketers, finding marketers who can rank you, while at the same time making sure you're reaching out.
Yeah, so it sounds like including some SEO in that as well, like somebody who knows how to do SEO with some unique selling points so that you can maybe win over a certain type of element within your industry so that you do rank. That's a long-term strategy too, and that I
Mm.
mean, that's the thing with marketing, it's like long-term strategy, but even with the like 2019 when you were launching and those dinners, that was pretty popular because I went to a few of those for other companies like the Gainswave. He was doing that at the same time
Yeah,
because
he
we
was.
went out to Beverly Hills, and that's when I had originally met that doctor, and it was a dinner, lunch-ish dinner type of event where he spoke and presented it, and it was like a room full of potential buyers and users of the machinery. And so, yeah, I mean, or equipment, and we won't call it machinery
Yeah.
since
Right.
it's used on your genitals.
Yeah.
Like, let's just call it
Yeah, yeah,
equipment.
yeah, 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 yeah. Either way, it
But
might be enjoyable machinery.
yeah, but that was pretty common
Yeah.
at that point, you
And
know?
and obviously COVID crushed that type of marketing, but now it's coming back because people again want to go out and they want again a free meal and things
Yeah.
like that. But at the same time, that's one of the things you should be doing as well is not focusing on one type of marketing. We do all different types of marketing. We do our digital marketing, we do direct to consumer marketing, we do mailers. We don't do the dinner talks anymore just because it requires a lot of people. But some of my companies actually that I am involved with, they do. We still do dinner talks. So all different types of things. And dinner talks work great for Botox parties. They're absolutely awesome for Botox parties. They're great for bigger high ticket items, whether you're doing gains wave and pulse wave therapy or you're still doing stem cells, even though I tell people not to do it. Those are high ticket items where people need more nurturing beforehand before they come in and make a decision. So that's one way that you can do that. And that marketing still works really well in a lot of businesses.
Yeah, so the second question then would be about your philosophy in marketing. As you've progressed in your entrepreneurship journey, how do you feel like your philosophy in marketing has evolved over time?
Well, I think it's probably never listen to a fucking marketer. There's so many marketing specialists and they all believe that the specific thing that they're doing is the best. And there's caveats to that. They might be the best at that specific thing, but that doesn't mean that's the only way to market. I've got a guy who does all of our digital marketing. They're awesome at digital marketing, but I would never ask them to do direct mailers because they have no fucking idea what they're doing. And they're going to say, well, that doesn't work. And they don't do email marketing, but then they might say, well, that doesn't work. But at the same time, there's data that proves that email marketing works phenomenal. And there's data that proves that direct mail marketing works phenomenal. So there's all types of marketing work really well if you find the niche for what you need it to work for. Direct mailers works good for our older patients who aren't on at a Facebook or Instagram as much. Social media works great for our younger patients who are always on Facebook and social media. YouTube for those people who are trying to look up a lot of data. A lot of people, instead of looking at encyclopedias or anything like that, they're either Googling things or they're watching YouTube videos about it
Mhm.
now. So YouTube's a big proponent of marketing and getting people into your system and getting people into your machine, providing free education on that platform. So really making sure that you're marketing across all different types of aspects, all different types of platforms is really how my philosophy has changed. It used to be, you know, Facebook was the marketing guru. That was the best way to get a large amount of clients that wanted to buy. Now with opt out and their algorithms being crushed, just it wasn't as strong. And Google took over them. And Google, we know, hey, we might spend more per acquisition, but they're high quality acquisitions because these people are actually Googling how to do this or buying this. So Google, Bing, Bing is just the same thing as Google for people who are older and buy a computer where Bing is the default browser and they don't know how to change it. So Bing is great for patients as well. So Bing and Google and YouTube and Facebook and direct mailers and magazines, all different types of marketing is how we market again all different types of products. And you have to figure out, hey, what's your avatar? What is my avatar doing? Are they hanging out in coffee shops playing on their phones or are they at home reading the newspaper in the morning? How do I attack them at their spot? And then making sure that th- there is some ridiculous statistic, and I do not know the exact number, but it's something when it comes to marketing where we see thousands, if not tens of thousands of marketing materials coming at us every day now on a daily basis.
Wow.
Whether that's through Facebook or driving down the road or sitting in a restaurant, there's all this different types of marketing that's hitting us on the daily, just over and over and over and over and over. So our body's, reticular activating system has learned to filter that out. And only when they start to think, okay, I need Botox or I need weight loss? Do they start to look for those things? And that's when you want to be there popping up. That's when you want to be omnipresent and have the digital marketing and have the billboard marketing and the community outreach. And really, the best marketing is friends. Make a sale, make a friend, make a sale. So if you make friends with your clients and they're going to go out and tell other friends about the service that they had with you, and that's the best way to do it. And like you said on the SEO, it is a long-term play, and most marketers will say SEO is dead. Well, SEO I think is dead for those marketers who want their money now, like the digital marketing and stuff like that. It's a fast-paced world. However, we have companies now that their marketing spend is 50% of newer clinics because those clinics are 10 years old or more.
Mm.
So we've got companies and clinics that have been around for a decade where we just started marketing in 10 years at those locations. Why? Because if you Google them, they've been around so long that they're, they're the number one Google on Google for every service that we have in that clinic because they've been around for a decade. So they have the SEO there.
Yeah.
And as a translation to that, the amount of money that we spend in the marketing those places is half. So it is a long-term play. And
Yeah.
there are
So
people who can get you up there faster that you don't have to wait 10 years now.
yeah, what I hear you saying is really inserting yourself where the customer is at. And that's a big piece of marketing that people miss out on. Cause you could say, let's say just Facebook, but it's like you just named 3 or 4 different avenues of marketing where those customers aren't necessarily on Facebook. So then you're leaving all that on the table. So doing what you're doing by diversifying the types of marketing you're doing, you're actually inserting yourself in front of where the actual customer is looking for this type of stuff, be it Google, Facebook, their mail, their mailbox, things like that.
Right, and that was one thing that I didn't realize, PE, private equity companies and venture capitalist VC companies were looking for until I started talking to them about our business, scaling our business, possibly taking on investors, and what they said is one of the things that they look for is localized marketing or localized attachments to the area. So not only that you're doing Google and Facebook and direct mailers, but do you go out to the local businesses and have you created partnerships with the local businesses? Do the local businesses know who you are? Are you direct marketing and cross marketing their clients with your clients? And that's one of the things that they look for in whether or not they're going to invest or buy your business.
Wow, that's fantastic, which leads into question number 3 about word of mouth, because that's what that kind of sounds like there. And you've mentioned before that you've learned a lot from Andy Frisella and his nutritional supplement line that he's built, his company's supplement superstore and first form. And so how do you feel like the word of mouth marketing plays into the growth that you've experienced with Genesis?
Yeah, so he teaches something in his companies, and he's taught it in Arate, and I won't repeat it here because he doesn't like that. So Andy, I got you. But he calls it the loyalty circle, and he goes through it. If you want to learn about it, go through his stuff. Look up loyalty circle with Andy Frisella. But I'll give you the bastardized version of it because we use it in every single one of our businesses. And really, what it is it's a full circle, and the right half of the circle is getting the client, treating them well, becoming a friend, and making the sale, right? But the left half of the circle is what most businesses miss and they don't focus on. And the left half of the circle is making sure that that client continues to have an amazing uh, process after they buy, meaning that they get thank you cards and they're checked in well and they're really taken care of. And as a result of that, then the next thing is asking for that person if they have a friend or a colleague or somebody else that they could bring in. And when they bring in that friend or colleague or anything like that, you reward them. But at the same time, the new person you're treating, again, back to the right side, just as well. High level customer service, answering their calls, doing whatever you can to go above and beyond for that person and making sure that that person is well taken care of. Because then it goes back to the left side of the circle, and that person goes out and grabs one friend or two friends. And then you've got two people grabbing one person each. So that's four people. and then they go through the right side. They get sold. Those people go through the left side, and then you got 4 people grabbing 1 person each, so that's 8 people. So it's a doubling
Mhm.
essentially. And he runs uh oh, this is got 4 or 5 years ago that he said this, so I don't know if he still runs his business off these specific KPIs, but my business partner and I internalized this and we use this in Genesis now, and that his two most important KPIs that he runs his business in every single day is what are the number of new patients, or I say patients because I run a medical clinic. What are the number of new clients are coming in to his company, First Form, and what are the number of returning clients that he has coming into his company? Because if those two numbers are growing, then your business is growing, period. No matter what. You can't, like, there's no other way unless your services get cut in half in terms of pricing. If you are increasing the number of new clients and increasing the number of retained clients, then you are going to win. And it's actually more important to retain the clients than it is to get new clients. And why do I say that? Is because in our field, especially in the medical field, you look at the big boys, Ideal Image, Laser Away, everything like that. Even now, Keeps and For Hims, they're getting a lot of new clients. However, most of their income, something like 60 to 80% of their income comes from the retention, the old clients coming in, because you don't have to market for them. They don't cost any money. You've already paid all the money to get them in. Now you just take care of them really well. And when you take care of them really well, it's essentially free marketing because they go out and grab somebody for you, which you paid $0 for. So you make a friend, you make a sale. Word of mouth is the best way to actually win in business because you don't have to spend any money to get anybody's eyes. They just trust their friends because you treated them really well.
Yeah, that's like what we've been talking about, the brand ambassador
Mhm.
avenue versus like the influencer avenue, which, user generated content can come from both of those aspects. But the brand ambassador is more along the lines of what you're talking about. It's those people that are like,
So what's yeah, go back. So go back.
yeah,
What's the difference? Because this is one of the things I told you that we suck at and we're really going to try and implement this year with, the e-commerce stuff that we have, the supplements that we have, and the skincare line that we're going to have and everything like that. But I know you've studied this a lot more and I am not a marketer, but you know all this stuff. So what's the difference between would you say affiliate and a brand ambassador, or
brand
what?
ambassador and influencer.
Okay, what are the
So
difference?
brand ambassador is more along the lines of what you were just referring to, where it's somebody who is already in your business, they're a fan, there are those ones that are going to raving fans. Those are going to be the ones that go out and tell other people about it. These are real customers, real testimonials, and they are actually speaking to your audience because it's likely that if they fit your customer avatar, that the people that they're around are also going to fit your customer avatar. So the people that they're talking to about your business are naturally vetted to be the types of people that need your business. And then the influencer marketing is more like online. It's more what we've seen over the past couple years where you have an influencer that has this following, whatever the number may be, that could be micro influencers at 10,000 or macro influencers over 100,000, where you're hoping that the people that follow them are people that are going to want your product or in the area that you might actually have a service that they need, but it's real hit or miss. So those numbers are, a lot lower. That's more brand awareness versus the brand ambassadors are direct word of mouth consumers of your actual product or service. So it's a little different model and you can do both. It's great to get the data. I think like what you're saying as far as the different avenues of marketing where you're trying a bunch of things to see what's working and in what ways you actually use it. This would be the same thing where you have those brand ambassadors that are heavy lean inners into your business and they're
Mm.
going to talk about it from an experiential standpoint. And then you have the influencers that are hype and excitement and just kind of getting the word out online so that, hashtags or, things, if it gets pulled up on TikTok, you've got people talking about it. But those are not necessarily going to be the people that drive most of the traffic in the word of mouth sense to your business.
Right.
That's the difference.
Got it. Okay.
I'm also not an expert, I have to
But that's
say
okay.
that,
No,
but
you know
I
more than I
hopefully
do.
said
So
that.
it's almost, I hate to put it this way because I hate MLMs, but it's almost like an MLM-ish system where
Mm.
you get into the system, and those people obviously will tell other people down the line, and so on and so forth. So making sure that if you're a business owner, you're listening to this, and it's cool to use Cameo to like promote your business and stuff like that. And there's actually ways to get around it where they can promote different things on your stuff. And I know people
Huh.
that do that where they won't say a specific brand, but they'll say, "Hey, my hormones are really good now," and then they can use that. They'll use that in their marketing, which they're legally allowed to, or they could pay extra, and people on Cameo now will actually market your specific thing. But that's cool. That's all well and good, but it's better to actually have 100 people who have used your product that are going out and getting others than one person who might be famous, unless it's like the fucking Rock or Cristiano Ronaldo that promotes your stuff, because then you're good.
Yeah.
But otherwise, that's how you build an organic brand where people are going to want to come to it. You're going to get people in, to stay and stick and everything like that, not just listen to what a celebrity is saying.
Yeah, I think people too know now. Like there's this is the information so readily available about how people go about getting these like plugs that I think the consumer knows like, oh, that was paid for.
Yep.
That person actually didn't go
Yeah.
into that
Yeah. They have
business,
no
but
idea what they're
yeah.
doing. Yeah.
They've never even looked at the website.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. So in your mind, what are your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to the fostering that word of mouth in the business?
Humans, like having to talk to somebody. I'm terrible at talking to people. I've gotten a lot better because I had to practice and now I'm forced myself into these social situations. But that's the biggest thing is getting out there and meeting people. And it's difficult when you're the business owner to go out there and meet people. So making sure that we have uh, either our clinic directors or staff, they understand that, hey, when you wear your shirts out that say Genesis on them, and people ask about it, talk about it, make sure you're representing us, make sure you're, talking about what you do. Because if you have, most of the time friends don't know what their friends do, really. Not a lot of people ask, like, well, hey, what do you do at work when you're going out and hanging out with your friends? A lot, quite frankly, I don't think before really getting into business. Now I ask everybody, but before getting into business, I didn't really ask anybody when I went out with a group of friends, "Hey, what do you do for work? Like how can I help you?" And it's not from a what do you do like I'm judging you. It's for now it's what do you do? Do I have friends in that business? Can I connect this person with somebody? Can I use this person for business, my business ventures? Do they have something that I can benefit from or something that I can help them benefit from? So now that's why I ask everybody, like, what do you do? What are you like looking for, et cetera? Because I mean, it's a good way to have those conversations from a aspect of trying to help somebody. But in the past, I never asked anybody what they did. So I think it's really important that people start to do that. And again, not from a judging standpoint. Oh, I'm a waitress. Okay, cool. Like, do you always want to be a waitress? Is there what else are you looking to do? It's fine if you just want to be a waitress. I mean, my wife was a waitress in uh for Vanderpump in Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas and making like 200K a year. That's a freaking awesome job in your Vegas. Or the pool girls there. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
people would be like, you just want to be a pool girl, bitch. I make $250,000 a year doing this. Like, okay, cool, like do your thing. But asking people, hey, what do you do? What do you want to do? Is there other people that I can connect you with and everything like that as you grow? So that you communicate and you learn what other people do and you be that great connector. And in Arate, there was a lesson that said, be the guy. If you're the guy, and whether you're a guy or a girl doesn't freaking matter, but be the person that somebody goes to if they need a connection. If they go to you and you're like, and they know if I go to Amanda, she's going to know who to connect me with for whatever, whether it's like tire changing company or whether it's a place to buy a car or whether it's a place to go get hormones or best skincare, if you become that person, then everybody's going to come to you and you're constantly connecting people, then those people are going to owe you a favor. It's like the old school mafia thing. That's the modern day slavery, if you will, is trading favors for people. If you're consistently doing for favors for other people, when you need a favor or you need help with something, those people are going to be there to help you because you gave without expecting anything in return at that moment. And that doesn't mean you will always need a favor or you write on a board, hey, Amanda, I did this for Amanda, like favor or death. Like, but that means that, hey, if I do something for somebody else, or am I consistently doing something for somebody else and I know that they are in this field and at some point I'm like, "Hey, I know you're in this field, can you help me out with this or can you help me get connected with somebody like that?" That person is more apt to help you because you're not just going and taking from them. You've given and given and given or even given once and they're they're indebted to you. They will feel indebted to you even if they don't. And if they don't, then you could just ask, "Hey, I know you're in this field. Like, I know I haven't done anything for you, but can you hook me up with somebody in this or this or this or, an interview or whatever that may be." So making sure you're that guy. And
So
when
you
you're
feel like
that
that's
guy.
a weakness for you because you're not out with people talking like that, but then it's also a strength because then you are that person. So
Yeah,
that kind of like you're good at it, but it's just doing it more.
right. I think it's a volume thing. And there's a phrase that as you grow in business, you have to work less in your business and work more on your business. And along with that, what you're selling changes. So I used to sell the hormone therapy and the weight loss and all that stuff. Now I don't. I don't directly sell any of that. I've got teams and you know, my staff does all that. What I have to sell now is my business. So I have to go to speak on stages and sell my business and partnering with my businesses. Or I have to go to a vendor or a marketer and say, hey, my business sells this much or spends this much on marketing or spends this much on supplies. What can you do for us in terms of a discount? Or, can we work together? And these vendors will give us discounts because we're huge, and they all have margins built in to where they might lower their margin a little bit, but our volume and our size more than makes up for it in a lot of these companies. Our marketer, we're probably going to spend $3 million with this year in marketing, and probably I think we're on track for at least three to $400,000 in net profit to them as management fees. That's a huge weight that we can say, hey, we can go pick this up and take it to somebody else who can market digitally. So making sure that we're getting the best prices, that's what we do now. And that's what I do now is consistently selling. And there's the book out there that said, there's a death by meeting book
Mhm.
where it's like, don't have a lot of meetings and blah, blah, blah. But people don't realize that as you grow in business and as you remove yourself from that sales line of selling and working in your business, that's all you do all day long is meetings. So they're like, "Well, don't have a lot of meetings." Well, then your business won't grow. You're only having meetings all day long when you grow. And if you don't wanna do that, then don't grow your business, because if you grow your business, that's all you do all day long is meetings. Meetings with staff, meetings with your business partner, meetings with vendors, meetings with marketers, meetings with anybody you can to help expand and grow your business, potential partners, etcetera. You're only having meetings. That's it. There's nothing else to running your business than putting out fires and running meetings. And that's it. That's literally part of that. So that is the weakness where I'm not out there and meeting with a lot of people, but at the same time, the people I'm big enough now that people come to you.
Mhm.
And if they need something, they'll come to me. If they want a meeting, they'll come to me. Or I'll go to them at their level. I'll have my team reach out to them and go to their level because I know specifically who I want to talk to instead of I'm just talking to everybody. When you're small and you don't have a large business and you don't have a large brand and you don't have a team to go out there and do that stuff for you, you have to be the person to go out there and do it.
Yeah, I think that's what that book because I read that book too, Death by Meetings, and it was early on in my business. I think that's more for that. I mean, it depends on where you are in your business when you read it as to what that would mean for you because
Absolutely.
it's like when you're new in business and you're only attending networking events and you're not actually working on your business or the marketing, like other aspects of the business, then you could definitely just be out with people all the time and
Right.
never actually see your business grow. So in that case, like when I first started doing a lot of networking events and I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta think a little bit different because it's not gonna be out at these luncheons that's gonna create me the success. Like I got to do that, but then I got to do this too.
Right.
So,
Yeah, meetings with your staff and meetings specifically with your managers or your direct superiors are extremely important, and data has showed that specifically employees want more time with their manager, which is good. However, for example, when we purchased 3 clinics in Southern California, the regional director, I had her send me her weekly schedule, and she was in meetings for 20 hours out of the week, out of a 40-hour week. So, she had no time. She had 20 hours to work on the business, but that's it, 20 hours, because the rest of it, those 20 hours of meetings were meetings that she shouldn't be involved in.
mm,
They were, marketing meetings and email meetings and all these meetings that wasn't her job. Her job is to hire, fire, grow, pour into the staff and make sure the clinics are running right, not to do marketing, not to do email follow-ups. All that stuff can be automated, not to do the finances. The financial person should be doing all that. So we pulled that all out of her hands. Now those clinics are growing significantly because she's being able to focus on pouring into her staff, training her staff, and growing those California clinics. But that's the death by meeting you're talking
mhm,
about, where
mhm.
if you're working in your business, you should not be having a lot of meetings, or your meetings should be scheduled very tightly, 8-minute meetings, 12-minute meetings, some odd number so people understand, like, hey, I only have 12 minutes, get my point across and get out of here. And on the other side, if you're the person running the meeting or you're the person they're presenting to, you're holding steadfast to those meeting numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tom and I are working on some things with Genesis, and we have a standing meeting every week. And sometimes it's like literally 8 minutes.
Yeah,
It's like, okay, what happened? Okay, cool. Let's do this. Let's plan for this for next week.
good.
Awesome. Let's go. Like, that's it. Like, it's so
Yep.
straightforward. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really nice.
It does not need to be long at
Yeah.
all. People think they need to have 30 minutes for a meeting or 15 minutes for a meeting or, an hour for a meeting. Sometimes it's a 6-minute meeting.
Yeah.
What do you have? Nothing. Okay. I want you to focus on this, this, and this. Cool. See you next week.
Yeah, love it. So let's talk about the issue of marketing in B2B terms. You were addressing the marketing and the KPIs as far as patients are concerned, but how do you choose which agencies you're going to use for B2B, and then how do you set the expectations for the results, or what KPIs are you looking for when you have somebody come in from the B2B side?
Yeah. So on the B2B side, for those that don't know, that's business to business. So you're not selling direct to like an end user, you're selling to another business who's going to utilize your product for their clients. Selling in the B2B side, because I've got now 3 businesses in the B2B side, that whole world is based off of what we just talked about that I'm bad at: relationships and meeting people and getting out there. And that's where it's selling your business rather than, selling your product in the business. That's working on your business. You have to, in the B2B world, make friends. You have to go out there and provide relationships or get relationships in the B2B world, because everybody's already got their vendors. They already have their businesses they buy from. So you have to beat them on one of a few things. One, you have to beat them on price. Especially in the medical world, somebody will jump ship if they get $10 off or 10% off versus another vendor. Why? Because that volume, it's a significant amount. And for the most part, medical clinics have very low net um, profits if they're not running their businesses right. And most businesses are not run right. So number one is the price. And if you're a new B2B business, sometimes you don't have volume pricing. So you have a premium product that you're going to pay a premium price for, that you can't lower it down. So you're going to have to compete against that. Number two is going to be, their existing client or vendor. It is very hard to switch a vendor, especially when you're a big business like us. 19 locations, we're about to have 22 with the new ones that are coming on board. It is very difficult to change an entire company's vendor, even if it's a single vendor for a single drug. You got to get 22 new uh, people trained. 20, you have one SOP, but then you got to retrain all those people, 22 new people that are at the clinic director level, and they push it down the line to their subordinates. So it might be another 2 to 3 people at each location. So that's like 60 people you got to get on board. And we're a small business. Bigger businesses, it's even worse. So you got to make sure that they want to change. The third thing is that relationship. They have worked with their vendor for a long time. And if that vendor is really good, which the good thing in our field is that people suck in the medical field as vendors. The reps are good sometimes, but as far as vendors, no CEO or no leader of any of our vendors, whether that's a pharmaceutical company or a PRP company or aesthetics company or whatever, they're not reaching out to the clinics and saying, "Hey, how you doing? What can we do to help?" etc. So in the B2B world, if we can do those things and reach out to those clinic directors and become friends with them and say, "Hey, yeah, we're invested in your growth," because if you think about it, if they grow, you grow because you're part of you're their cog, their cost of goods. You are there. They have a built-in cost of goods that they have to spend that money somewhere. So whatever they spend, whoever they spend it with, whether it's you or somebody else or the other 15 vendors out there, they have to spend it with somebody to run their business. So if you create that relationship with them and that friendship with them and you treat them right and treat them well and have over the top customer service, they're going to stay with you. And then everybody knows everybody in this world. They're going to tell other clinic owners. They're going to tell other clinic directors. They're going to say, "Hey, I'm getting these pharmaceuticals from this pharmacy. They're super cheap and they have great service. I recommend it." Or, this marketing company that I work with, their management fee is low and they actually have gotten me some great clients. So I highly recommend them. It's all, again, word of mouth, especially in the B2B world. So that's how the marketing changes. You just can't slap up a digital ad in the B2B world and think that you're going to get a large amount of clients to transfer over to you, because it is a pain in the ass to transfer over a company to a different vendor.
Which goes back to our last question, which is all about word of mouth
Yep.
in the relationships.
Absolutely. 100%. The B2B world is heavy word of mouth, heavy relationships, shaking hands, kissing babies, getting on stage in front of people and helping them and then showing them, "Hey, this is X, Y, and Z that I use in my business," or "This is why we are better than X, Y, and Z. We can help you out with this." Coming from that aspect of helping them make more money. And there's a great phrase: if you want to make, or if you want to be filthy rich, make everyone around you filthy rich. Because in the end, you're going to become filthy rich because of that.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, I'm around you, so
Yeah, there you go. Let's
I'm
do it.
on my path to filthy rich.
That's what I'm talking about. Maybe just filthy, but I don't know about rich part. I'm just dirty.
Or we'll leave the dirty part out
We'll
and
leave
just
the dirty
go
part out.
just go
Maybe just
rich.
rich. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Just
I like
it's
that
one or
one.
the other. Just stay on the rich side.
Let's talk about marketing and technology.
hmm
What kinds of digital strategies have been really successful for you?
Yeah,
Like,
I think I talked about them already, really. So Bing and Google are really tried and true in our business. You have a higher amount of money that you have to spend, and you do have a higher cost per acquisition, but the cost per acquisition literally it's a higher quality patient. Facebook is still great for marketing because people are still, I mean, there's hundreds of millions of users every day on the platform. It's a good way to do e-commerce and direct to consumer straight from not having to have brick and mortars. The YouTube, I mean, the YouTube is great. YouTube is great for education. People want to learn more now. They are researching more, especially after COVID in the medical field. People research like crazy, which is phenomenal. It's actually really good. So if you're providing a lot of free education out there, a lot of education about your services and what makes you different on a YouTube channel or on Instagram or social media, TikTok. Those are great things to where the more education you provide, the more eyes you're going to see, the more eyes you're going to see, the more clients you're going to make. And those are really all the digital platforms that we use. I think that's kind of all the digital platforms in general, or email. We just launched email campaign. I think email is very, very important as well, especially you have those clients, you already paid for them. Hopefully you've already treated them right. So if you email them about your services and what you can do to help them or new services or whatever, they might say, "You know what? I don't know what it is, or I don't know what that service is, but I'm going to find out more about it. I'm going to call in and get a consult for it because I knew they treated me right the last time." And if they're emailing me about something a new product or whatever, I know it's going to be good and high quality and I got to have it.
So when somebody's first starting out their business and they're thinking about what technologies might work, I know I don't know much about this, but I know you and I have talked about, I've heard you talking about geofencing.
Mhm.
I don't know a lot about that, but do you use that? Have you used it? Is that something that's good when you're first starting out or
Well,
maybe when
geofencing
you're
goes hand in
bigger?
hand with your digital marketing. So
Okay.
what geofencing is all it is you're either choosing zip codes or a mile radius, whether that's a 10-mile radius or whatever, to market on Google or market on Facebook to your certain demographic. So you can choose in Facebook or you could choose in Google an audience, if you will. And Instagram has the same thing where you can choose if I'm going to run an ad, it's going to show to men and women ages 35 to 55 who live in this specific area. So that's geofencing.
Ah,
And
got it.
anybody that goes into that area may see your ad. They might pop up.
So if I go to a restaurant or something and I'm still scrolling on social media instead of engaging with my family,
Right.
let's say,
Exactly. And you're
like
across the street from
most
yeah,
people do,
exactly. And you're
and,
across the street from our clinic, then you might
right.
get that ad pop up.
Ah, okay.
Exactly. So that's what geofencing is. And yeah, it's extremely important to make sure that you're geofenced, to make sure that your marketing is geofenced, because if you are in, let's say, Las Vegas proper and you want to market and you're marketing in Denver, that's not going to help you at all. So make sure you're obviously geofencing based off of where you are and where you want your clients to come from, etc. So yeah, absolutely, that's important when it comes to marketing. I think that's built in, and most even marketing 101 people like me know that geofencing is important. And that's how you use that's how you can utilize geofencing to your advantage.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't know the proper term for it
Yeah,
because
it's
having run
fanciness.
ads and things like that, like
Hmm.
I know the metrics of that, but
Yeah.
I don't call it that.
Yep.
So now I'm going to use a new word and feel really smart,
There you go.
with my glasses on and
You
just
look great.
feel like I really know what I'm talking about
Yeah.
here.
You're like it's your secret identity. The glasses on and glasses off.
Yeah. Change it up a little
There you
bit,
go.
bring out my smart side.
There you go.
Is it ever appropriate to reject a marketing technique or strategy that just might be popular, but feels like maybe it's not the right option for you?
Yeah, I think you have to go back to your core values and you have to go back to the message that you want to send to people. And this is big in personal branding, but really big in your brand and your core values of your business as well. And what I mean by that is if you want to provide a lot of value to somebody and instead of providing value, you do clickbaity type shit. You know, Trump is the best president out there, buy our book. You're going to get a lot of obviously people enraged and commenting and a lot of people involved. And in the end, that might sell a lot of books. But if you're selling, uh, I don't know, left wing Christian book, maybe it might not be the best way to go about your marketing because it's against your brand. And
Yeah.
in the end, you're just going to be known as the company that has like fucked up branding and clickbait to sell products. And people will see through that now really fast and be vehemently against it. So that's one thing is that look at your core values, look at the message you want to send to people and make sure that your messaging is in line with how you want to communicate with your client or how you want to communicate with your business. It's the same thing you would do in the B2B world. I wouldn't go up to a client and say like, "Oh, your beliefs are fucking stupid. Hey, buy my shit."
Yeah.
You want to be congruent with what they believe, you want to be congruent in what they want from a vendor. So you want to make sure that you're speaking their language. And my wife always laughs at me because when I am around different types of people, she's like, you talk like them. You start to have an accent like them or talk like them or act like them. And I'm like, absolutely. Like when I used to work in the prison, the guards would be like, you talk black. Well, yeah, because I've got 6 black men that I'm seeing today, and they understand if I talk like them and be like them and act like them, they're gonna listen to me. It's not a racist thing. It's that, hey, I am mirroring what they do. There's a concept called mirroring where people will be more connected to you and want to be involved with you faster and trust you if you're like them. Period. So if you mirror people, they will start to unconsciously trust you more because you're like them. When I was in England, I spoke in an English accent, and which is funny because when I came back, I had been in England so long, my English accent stuck for a while.
Can you do it?
Yeah, I could do an English accent all day long. But if you hang out with other people in those areas, and you start to become like them, they'll trust you more. It's just how it is. We trust who people who are like us and look like us and act like us. It's just innate humans
And so
in
you,
general.
since you don't look like a black man in
Yeah,
prison, you gotta at least
I gotta act like
yeah,
them sometimes, and
yeah.
it's just mirroring. People are all they come from all different aspects of life. So if I'm talking to a Mexican guy in prison, if I'm talking to an Aryan guy in prison, all the guys, everybody was different. But if you mirror them and talk like them, they will understand where you're coming from. And they're not going to tell each other because obviously, one, it's prison where I was. But two, in the outside world, they're just going to be like, oh, yeah, Dr. Spinoso, I love that guy. He is, like me.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do that's part of selling, especially in the medical field. We have to sell a person on, hey, this is a smart medication to take because it's actually going to help you.
Mhm.
We have to essentially sell our products, and our products are either lifestyle changes or medicine or something like that that's going to help that person improve their life, improve their disease, treat their problem. And we have to sell them on the fact that they have to take it. And if you're screaming at them and yelling at them or not congruent with how they look or feel or act, then you're not really going to get your point across. There's a difference between gaining that. We talked about this in another podcast, gaining that commitment
Mm.
versus just telling somebody what to do. And
Yeah.
so acting like them and mirroring them, it's the same thing in marketing, honestly. If you, and I tell my staff this all the time, if you have a, 260-pound female who's trying to lose weight, don't show them a photo of Sean, a black 8-pack muscle ripped dude and say, hey, this guy can do it. You can too, because they're not going to connect to that at
Mhm.
all. And in messaging and in marketing, there's tons of different big companies that do that. Look at Target's commercials that have all different types of people, all different walks of life. Look at any of the now for Hims companies or Row or weight loss companies. They have all different types of people, all different colors, all different backgrounds, all different sizes. Victoria's Secret, they tried to do it, but they didn't do so well on that because their brand was beautiful, slender runway models. They tried
Yeah.
to go against that. They lost a ton of money, and now they go back to it.
Mhm.
Same thing with Bud Light and Dylan Mulvaney. They marketed something and tried to create something that was against their brand. And guess what? The people who love them for their brand absolutely crucified them for it. And now they went the opposite way and now partnered with the UFC. Again, back to their brand, back to their roots. So your
Mm.
business, yourself, you're going to have a brand. And you're going to have to try and speak to a lot of different people. And the more people you can speak to, the more people you can sell to. That's why Amazon is probably killing it so much. So obviously, because they're less expensive than everybody, it's fast and easy. But at the same time, it's androgynous. Like any type of person, because they have no brand ambassador, if you will, specifically for their brand, any type of person can buy from Amazon. Doesn't matter if you identify as a cat, cow, hybrid. You can buy your, product, your feed and your cat collars from Amazon.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to know the difference, right? But most brands are not like that, especially when they're young. So when you're young, you're going to have a brand, you're going to have a message, and speaking to that message is important. And rejecting anything that's outside of that is okay, at least at the beginning.
That's really good. That's really good. It reminds me of there's a scripture. It's a very biblical concept, the whole mirroring thing, because I'm also not a biblical scholar. However, it's along the lines of when you're with the Israelites, be as the Israelites. And
Mm,
he goes through different types of people, be with them, be as them, and so that's the same thing. It's
Right.
like, do as they're doing, be as them, if they're on brand with you.
Right, right, right.
And so that's interesting too, because I've thought about you were joking in one of the previous podcasts about just post a picture in a bathing suit and you'll get all kinds of followers,
Yeah, there you go.
That's so off
Yeah,
brand for
yeah, yeah,
me.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it
And you're
would
breastfeeding, so you
it
got
would
big old
be
boobies. You'll be like,
it
"Woof,
would be so odd. Like
80,000
people
followers."
I
But
think all my friends would be like, "What are
well,
you
you
doing?"
totally lose
Like,
all your brand.
yeah,
I mean,
like
it would destroy
what's
your brand in one post.
what's going on,
Hmm.
I might
Yeah.
get a bunch of men,
Yeah, you'd get
following,
a
but
ton of men, obviously, but you run,
that do not care at all about building a beauty business,
yeah,
which is who I'm talking to.
exactly. Building a beauty business, being a boss babe, being a CEO of a major company as a female, like you would lose and alienate all those people in one fucking post. And you
Yeah.
get a whole bunch of people who are off brand and just want to see you for your titties.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's just
So
it's not intelligent.
that's when it's good to reject what might be working for somebody
Yeah.
else, which is if
I
that's
didn't
what's
have that
working for you.
example because I mean, I post a naked picture and it's just not going to do well, period.
Or
Like I'm going to get $0.
your birthday song
Yeah.
post.
There you go. My
birth
birthday song post
your
dancing.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
your sister.
Yeah.
Like, that
People,
was a good one.
but
People
that's
might
just,
pay to see that.
that's who I am though. So people be like, yeah, that's just him.
That's on brand.
That's just him. That's on brand with him.
Definitely. Well, there's some major takeaways from this conversation when it comes to business and marketing. And if, in my opinion, it goes back to somebody being really clear about who they are because it's their passion and their why that started this business, staying true to that in the core values. So being clear about, you have to be clear. You have to be clear enough to have core values. What do you stand for? What are you doing? Why are you doing it? And the impact that you want to have, staying true to that, and then being willing to test some things in the market to see what works, but really caring about the customer because in the long run, that customer continuing to go out and spread the word and come back and bring their friends with them, that's where you hit the sweet spot of word of mouth and you start to really grow. And you don't have to invest so much in other marketing to go out and reach new people because you have raving fans. That's a Seth Godin. Did I say his last name properly?
Godin.
Godin.
Mhm.
Seth Godin concept, those lean inners, you're going after those raving fans that are going to go out and talk about you because
Right.
that's what you want when you're getting new people into the business. And so yeah, it's been a great conversation about marketing mindset, mistakes to avoid. And what are your final thoughts on what it takes to be successful at marketing your business?
I think in the end, you actually just touched on it, is that the word of mouth is the biggest thing. And the only way to have good word of mouth is to have a great product. If you have a mediocre product, then people aren't going to go out there and say, "Oh my God, this place is the best," or "You need to go check this place out." I don't tell my friends about Taco Bell. Taco Bell makes decent food. I know exactly what type of food Taco Bell does. Like it's fast food. It's pretty good, but as far as like Mexican food, it's not authentic. It's not amazing. I'm not going to tell my friends. However, there's a restaurant out here called Media who has like really awesome fucking tableside guacamole and amazing drinks and amazing Mexican food that when friends say, "Hey, we're looking for a Mexican restaurant," oh, check out Media. Or if you want super high fancy Mexican food, we have a place called The Mexican downtown Dallas. So, but they created something that was different. They created a high level product that is an experience that we love to go to. And that sets them apart. That makes me want to tell them about it. So the word of mouth only happens if you got a good product and you treat people with amazing customer service and you have amazing systems. You can market all you want, but that's the problem with social media and marketing now, is that it's easy for a person to go out there, and if you have a shitty product, everybody's going to fucking know about it real fast. If you have a great product, everybody will know about it really fast because of social media. So making sure that your product is amazing, because no matter how much you market, if you have a crap product, you're not going to get word of mouth. And that's it. All this marketing that we just talked about, throw it all out the fucking window if your product sucks or if it's like everybody else's product. You have to have something better, faster, stronger, improves people's lives, more touches that they love, things like that. You have to have a product that stands out from other people in order to build a big brand.
Well, and I love Mexican foods. Now I'm hungry.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're
It's a good
welcome.
example.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. Well, before we close, remember Dr. Alex would love to connect with you, especially if you're in the medical entrepreneurial space. His Instagram is at Dr. Alex Spinoso and website is dralexspinoso.com. He's available for consultations, keynotes, and in the future, we'll be developing a mastermind for medical entrepreneurs. You can get notified about all of that and get other information and resources by subscribing to his e-newsletter. You can do all of that at dralexspinoso.com.
Well, thank you. We'll move on to the next one. And remember, guys, you're Superman.